"Let me feel your breasts." 6 words. The American officer steps forward. Fumiko Harada, 22, stops breathing. The translator repeats it. Same words. No mistake. Fumiko's knees buckle. Behind her, 19 women press against the tent wall. Canvas flaps in the June heat. Okinawa, 1945. The smell of antiseptic burns her nostrils. She knew this would happen. America jin wa kimono da josei kara hajimeru. Americans are beasts. They start with the women. Every training session, every whispered warning, every officer who told them what capture meant. This moment, right now, proves all of it true. But something's wrong. The officer isn't moving toward her. He's standing still, holding something metallic. Not a weapon, not restraints. Something with tubes. Over 27,000 Japanese women served by 1945. Only 200 survived to become POWs. Fumiko is one of them, 19 years old when conscripted, 22 now. She's walked through artillery fire, dysentery, starvation. She watched her best friend die of tuberculosis in a field hospital with no medicine. None of that prepared her for this. The American nurse, blonde hair pinned back, maybe 28, steps forward. She's smiling. Why is she smiling? Fumiko's hands won't stop shaking. The nurse holds up fabric, white, clean, a medical gown, the first clean fabric Fumiko has touched in 7 months. She doesn't understand. "Kigaite kudasai," the translator says. "Please change." Change? Change into what? For what? The officer sets down the metallic thing. Fumiko sees it now. A stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, tongue depressors in a metal cup, medical equipment, standard examination tools. Her brain can't process it. Reiko Sato, 19, communications operator, starts crying behind her. Not from fear, from confusion. The propaganda said, assault. The reality shows, instruments? The nurse gestures toward a curtained area, private, enclosed. She speaks broken Japanese. Anata, safe. Anzen, safe. The word doesn't compute. Safety is a concept Fumiko abandoned in 1943. Sergeant Thomas Bradley, 34 Medical Corps, writes something on his clipboard. He hasn't looked at any woman below the neck. His eyes stay on paperwork. Professional. Clinical. Bored, even. This isn't what they described. This isn't what she expected. The nurse hands Fumiko the white gown. Their fingers touch. The nurse's hand is warm, steady, not grabbing, not forcing, offering. Fumiko takes it. The fabric is soft against her cracked palms. Then the officer speaks again. The translator hesitates, swallows, translates, "We need to check for tuberculosis. The examination requires chest access." The officer's hands move toward her, but he's holding something she doesn't expect, not hands. A stethoscope, cold, metal, pressed against the white gown, not skin, never skin. Fumiko flinches anyway. Sergeant Bradley doesn't react. He moves the disc methodically, left side, right side, back. His face stays neutral, counting. Heartbeats, nothing else. The nurse, Lieutenant Patricia Holloway, 28, Army Nurse Corps, scribbles on a chart. "Breathe in." The translator echoes. Fumiko breathes. Her ribs ache from malnutrition. Again. She breathes again. The stethoscope moves. Cold trails across her shoulder blades. This isn't assault. This is medicine? Naze kanojo wa hohoemi wo yameda no wanaka? Why did she stop smiling? Is it a trap? Behind the curtain, Reiko waits her turn. Fumiko hears her whimpering. 19 years old. Captured 3 weeks ago. Still believes the propaganda absolutely. Fumiko believed it too. 20 minutes ago, standard U.S. POW intake required 47 medical checkpoints. 47. Temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, lymph node examination, chest sounds, eye dilation, reflexes, tuberculosis screening. Breast examination wasn't assault protocol. It was Protocol 7C, lymph node palpation for TB detection, implemented 1943 after tuberculosis, killed more Pacific POWs than combat wounds. Bradley moves to her neck, presses gently below her jaw, checking lymph nodes. His fingers are calloused but careful. Swallow. She swallows. He makes a note. Lieutenant Holloway approaches with something else. A wooden stick, tongue depressor. Open! Fumiko opens her mouth. The wood tastes like nothing. Clean, sterile, foreign. Holloway examines her throat, writes more notes. Her handwriting is cramped, efficient. Japanese military medical exams happened standing in lines, naked. Male doctors, no curtains, no privacy. Weakness meant punishment. This tent has curtains. This officer hasn't raised his voice. This nurse speaks Japanese, badly but trying. The dissonance is breaking Fumiko's brain. Bradley examines her hands, turns them over, checks her nails. Malnutrition indicators, notes the yellowing, writes something. Then he stops. His eyes narrow. He's looking at her arms, the inside of her elbows, small marks, grid patterns, too precise for combat wounds. He calls Holloway over. They whisper in English. Fumiko catches one word, injection. Holloway's face changes. The smile is gone. She shows Bradley something on the clipboard. His jaw tightens. Carrera wa nani wo mitsuketa no? What did they find? The translator hasn't spoken in 2 minutes. He's reading the clipboard over Bradley's shoulder. His face has gone gray. Bradley turns to Fumiko. His voice is different now, softer, careful. We need to ask you some questions. The translator hesitates, swallows. About the injections. Who gave them to you? Injections? Fumiko stares at her own arm, the marks. She'd forgotten about the marks. March 1945, field hospital outside Manila. They called it vitamin supplementation. All nurses received it. Standard procedure. Nothing unusual. That's what Captain Iwata said. Before he disappeared. Bradley points to the grid pattern. 4 marks. Perfect squares. 2 centimeters apart. No combat wound makes patterns like that. When? He asks through the translator. March, 4 months ago. How many times? 3 sessions, 3 days apart. Bradley and Holloway exchange looks. Something unspoken passes between them. Watashi wa nani wo chusha sareta no? What was I injected with? The question she never asked. The question she was trained not to ask. Holloway gestures toward a machine in the corner. Large, metal. Looks like a camera mounted on an arm. X-ray, the translator explains. They want to photograph your chest, inside. Inside. Fumiko's throat tightens. She doesn't understand what they're looking for, but their faces tell her it's not good. TB infection rate in the Japanese military, 34% by 1945. Tuberculosis killed 140,000 Japanese soldiers that year alone. More than American bullets, more than bombs, more than starvation. In Japanese field hospitals, TB diagnosis meant isolation, then death. No treatment existed, no medicine allocated. You coughed until you stopped. Fumiko helped carry 17 bodies to burial pits, 17 nurses and medics, her friends, her teachers, her unit. The X-ray machine hums. Holloway positions Fumiko against a cold plate, metal against spine, arms raised. Hold still. Click. The chemical smell of developer fills the tent, sharp, acidic, burning her nostrils. 2 minutes later, Bradley holds the film to a light box. Fumiko watches his face. He doesn't speak for 10 seconds, then 15. What? She asks. What is it? The translator's voice shakes. There's a shadow in your left lung. Shadow, cage, the Japanese word for death sentence, but Bradley isn't looking at her like she's dying. He's looking at her like she's salvageable. Tuberculosis, he says, early stage, treatable. Treatable? The word doesn't translate. There is no Japanese military word for treatable tuberculosis. The concepts don't coexist. Chiryu kanut donaimi, treatable. What does that mean? Holloway opens a metal case. Inside, vials, syringes, medicine Fumiko has never seen. Streptomycin, Bradley says. New. Works on TB. You're lucky we caught it early. Lucky? Fumiko starts laughing, then crying. She can't tell the difference anymore, but Bradley isn't finished. He's still staring at the X-ray, at something else. The shadow isn't the problem, his voice drops. It's what's underneath it. Underneath? Bradley taps the X-ray. Below the lung shadow, near her stomach, small white specks, scattered like stars. Metal fragments, he says. Foreign objects, surgically implanted. Fumiko shakes her head. I never had surgery. You did. You just don't remember it. The tent goes silent. Holloway stops writing. The translator forgets to translate. Watashi no karada, no nakani, nani ga aru? What's inside my body? Fumiko touches her abdomen, feels nothing unusual. No scars she can see, no pain she can identify. But the X-ray doesn't lie. 14 metal fragments, each one smaller than a rice grain, distributed in a precise pattern across her abdominal cavity. Bradley has seen this pattern before, twice, both times in prisoners from a specific unit. Where were you stationed in February 1945? Harbin, Manchuria, medical training facility. Bradley's pen stops moving. Harbin, Unit 731's headquarters. He doesn't say the name aloud. Doesn't need to. Holloway understands. The translator understands. Everyone in U.S. military intelligence understands what Harbin means. Unit 731 conducted experiments on 3,000 to 10,000 victims between 1937 and 1945. Biological weapons, surgical tests, radiation exposure, human beings dissected alive. The official subjects were Chinese and Korean prisoners. The unofficial subjects were anyone convenient. The vitamin injections, Bradley says slowly. Did they put you to sleep first? Fumiko thinks. Her memory of those 3 days is foggy, gaps, missing hours. I woke up tired, she admits. Sore. They said it was normal. Normal. 14 metal fragments implanted in a 22-year-old nurse's abdomen. Normal. Watashi wa jiken taishudata no? Was I an experiment? She asks the question aloud. The translator flinches. Bradley doesn't answer. Holloway pulls out a different form. Red border, classification stamps, war crimes documentation unit. We need to photograph everything, she says. The injection sites, the X-rays, your testimony. Testimony. Fumiko is no longer a patient. She's evidence. Outside the tent, Reiko screams. Not fear, shock. Her examination revealed something too. Different marks, different patterns, same origin. Of the 19 women captured that week, 7 show signs of surgical intervention. 7 women who were told they received vitamins. 7 women who woke up sore and forgot to ask why. Bradley sets down his pen. There's someone else who needs to see this, he says. Someone from intelligence. He steps outside. Returns 30 seconds later with a man in a different uniform. Captain Marcus Webb, 41, War Crimes Documentation Unit. He looks at the X-ray, at Fumiko, at the metal stars scattered inside her. Tell me about Harbin. Tell me everything. Pelvic examination. 2 words. Every woman in the holding area stops breathing. Fumiko translates for those who don't understand English. Their faces collapse. Reiko starts hyperventilating. Ayumi Nakagawa, 31, the oldest prisoner, puts her hand over her mouth. This is it. This is what they warned us about. Ima da. Ima kara hajimaru. Now. It starts now. But Lieutenant Holloway steps forward, alone, no male personnel. Women only, she says in broken Japanese. Jose dak, men outside. Otoko wasoto. She gestures toward the tent flap. Bradley leaves. The translator leaves. Webb leaves. Every man leaves. Fumiko doesn't understand. The curtain draws closed. Holloway locks it from inside. Pulls out clean instruments, sterile, sealed in paper packaging. This examination is for you. Holloway explained slowly. To check injuries. Help you. Help? U.S. medical protocol since 1944. Female-only staff for gynecological examinations of female POWs. Directive 7F, implemented after reports of male examiner misconduct in European theater. Zero tolerance, zero exceptions. Holloway puts on gloves, slowly, visibly, so Fumiko can see every step. I need to check for injuries, internal injuries. Do you understand? Internal injuries. From whom? The question hangs unasked. 23% of Japanese women POWs showed evidence of sexual assault upon intake examination, not from Americans. From Japanese military, their own officers, their own units. Holloway knows this statistic. She's seen it confirmed 60 times this month alone. Karera wa watashi tachi no teki ga shitakoto wo shirabete iru no dewanai. They're not checking what our enemies did. Fumiko realizes it slowly, like sunrise. They're checking what Japan did. Holloway examines each woman individually. Private room, curtained, door locked. Female translator brought in. Nurse Corporal Hanako Kimura, 26 Nisei, American-born Japanese. She speaks perfect Japanese. Explains everything before it happens. She's going to touch here for 30 seconds, then here. You can say, stop anytime. Stop. Japanese military examinations never included that word. Reiko's examination takes 4 minutes. When it ends, she's crying, but not from pain. She asked if I was okay, Reiko whispers to Fumiko. 3 times, she kept asking. Holloway finishes with Ayumi. The older woman emerges from behind the curtain, face wet. I was used for 11 months, Ayumi says quietly, by my commanding officer. She found the scarring. She wrote everything down. Wrote it down. Evidence, documentation, testimony, not for punishment, for justice. Holloway calls for Captain Webb. He enters after all examinations are complete, reads the reports. His face hardens with each page. Same unit, same time frame, same injuries. He looks at the women. Who was your commanding officer? Colonel Takeshi Moriyama. Ayumi says the name. Her voice breaks on the second syllable. Captain Webb writes it down, underlines it twice. The pen almost tears the paper. That name appears in 17 war crimes files across 3 Pacific theaters, comfort stations, medical experiments, summary executions. The man is a ghost, transferred whenever investigations get close. Now Webb has 11 witnesses, living witnesses, with physical evidence. Kare no name wo iu dake de batsu ga atta, saying his name was punishable. Ayumi explains, Colonel Moriyama ran the Women's Auxiliary Unit in Harbin. Officially administrative duties, unofficially procurement. He selected which nurses went to special assignments. Nobody returned from special assignments. Fumiko remembers his face, thin mustache, gold-rimmed glasses, soft voice. He called her pretty once. She thanked him. Then she was selected for vitamin injections. The experiments, Webb presses. Did he oversee them? Ayumi shakes her head. He selected someone else cut. Holloway stops writing. Cut. Surgery. We were told appendix removal. Routine, but I still have my appendix. Webb examines her file. Her X-ray shows the same metal fragments as Fumiko, same distribution, same surgical precision. They weren't removing appendixes, they were implanting something. Dr. Samuel Byrne, 52, Army pathologist, arrives within the hour. He's been studying recovered Unit 731 documents for 3 months. His hands shake when he sees the X-rays. Tracking devices, he mutters. Experimental. They were testing radioactive isotope tracers. Long-term surveillance capability. Radioactive. Inside their bodies. For 3 months. Watashi tachi wa doku wo umekomarete ita. We were implanted with poison. Fumiko's hand moves to her stomach. The metal fragments suddenly feel heavy. Present. Burning. Can you remove them? She asks. Byrne hesitates. Some, not all. Surgery is risky. The fragments are small. How long do I have? The radioactive isotopes have mostly decayed. Minimal ongoing exposure. He pauses. You'll live. Longer than they planned. Longer than they planned. Unit 731 didn't design long-term survivors. Their subjects died on tables, in pits, in incinerators. These women survived because they were captured by Americans. Before the experiment's finished, Webb flips his notebook closed. I need to contact Washington. This goes beyond POW intake. Beyond intake, beyond Okinawa, beyond anything Fumiko imagined when she heard, "Let me feel your breasts," 3 hours ago. She expected assault. She found medicine. She expected enemies. She found evidence. Byrne leaves to prepare surgical equipment. Holloway begins sedation protocols. Webb starts encoding messages, but Fumiko stops him. There's another woman, Tent 3. She won't speak, won't eat, won't look at anyone. Why not? Fumiko swallows. Because she knows who cut us. She was there when they did it. Tent 3. Corner cot. Blanket overhead. Chio Matsuda, 24, hasn't moved in 6 days. The guards bring food. She doesn't touch it. They offer water. She turns away. They speak, English, Japanese, anything. She stares through them. Fumiko recognizes her. They trained together in Osaka, 1943, before Harbin, before everything. Chio was smart, top of their class, selected for advanced medical training. Everyone envied her. Kanojo wa tokubetsu ninmu ni erabareta, eiko aru koto datta. She was chosen for a special duty. It was an honor. Nobody envied her after. Fumiko kneels beside the cot, pulls back the blanket. Chio's eyes are open, vacant, looking at something invisible. Chio, it's Fumiko. Do you remember me? Nothing. They found the medal in my stomach. They know about Harbin. They're documenting everything. A flicker. Chio's eyes move, focus. Documenting? For War Crimes Tribunal. They want testimony. Chio laughs, hollow. Broken glass scraping concrete. Testimony. About what I did? Did. Fumiko's blood goes cold. What you did? Chio sits up slowly. Her hospital gown hangs loose. She's lost 20 pounds since capture. Her collarbones jut like weapons. I assisted the surgeries. I held them down while Dr. Ishida cut. Held them down. Fumiko remembers waking up sore, confused. Alone in a recovery room with no memory of arriving there. Someone held her down. While she was conscious, while she screamed. She didn't scream. She doesn't remember screaming. But Chio does. You fought, Chio whispers. All of you fought. They told us the sedation would work. It didn't. You screamed and I held your arms and told you to be still. Watashi wa anata wo osekomonde ita? I was holding you down? The horror unfolds slowly. Chio wasn't a victim. Chio was a participant. Forced participant, but participant. She watched. She assisted. She helped implant metal into her own classmates. Why? Because Colonel Moriyama said my family would die if I refused. My mother, my sisters, all of them. Standard Unit 731 recruitment, coercion, blackmail, family hostages. Nobody volunteered for those duties. Everybody was compelled. Captain Webb enters the tent. He's been listening outside. Miss Matsuda, I need you to testify, not about what you did, about what you saw, about who gave the orders. Chio looks at him, at the American uniform, at the enemy who isn't treating her like an enemy. If I testify, what happens to me? Webb kneels beside her. Nothing. You were coerced. We know. We need witnesses, not criminals. Witnesses. Chio's hand reaches for Fumiko's, grips it tight. I'll tell you everything, but first, I need to see what they put inside me. The operating tent smells like ether and steel. Chio lies on the table, eyes open. She refused full sedation, wants to see. Dr. Byrne makes the first incision, 3 centimeters, below her navel, where the X-ray showed the largest fragment cluster. You'll feel pressure, he warns, not pain. Tell me if that changes. Pressure. Chio nods. Watashi wa jibun no naka ni nani ga aru ka mitai. I want to see what's inside me. The metal tweezers enter the wound. Byrne works slowly, methodically. Extracting one fragment at a time, the first one clinks into a metal dish. Chio cranes her neck to look. Byrne tilts the dish toward her, a metal cylinder, smaller than a pencil eraser, coated in biological residue. "That was inside you for 4 months, Byrne says. "Radioactive tracer, experimental tracking technology." Tracking? They put tracking devices in nurses, human beings, for testing. Fumiko watches from behind a glass partition. Holloway stands beside her, translating Byrne's medical commentary into Japanese. Second fragment extracted, third, fourth. Chio counts each one. Her lips move silently. 8, 9, 10. "How many more?" Byrne checks the X-ray again. 6 more recoverable. 4 are too deep. We'd cause more damage extracting them. 4 remain, forever, embedded in her organs. "Watashi wa shugai karera to ikiru." I'll live with them for life. Chio closes her eyes, accepts it, opens them again. "The others, the ones you can't remove. Will they kill me?" "The isotopes have decayed. The metal itself is inert. You'll live." Live. With pieces of Japanese military experimentation lodged in her abdomen until she dies of something else. The surgery takes 90 minutes. 14 fragments extracted across 4 women. Fumiko undergoes her procedure next. She counts 11 removals. 3 remain. By evening, Captain Webb has their testimonies. 60 pages of documentation, names, dates, procedures, locations. Colonel Takeshi Moriyama, Dr. Kenji Ishida, Unit 731, Harbin Medical Annex. February-April 1945. Webb seals the documents in a diplomatic pouch. "This goes to MacArthur's office tomorrow. War Crimes Tribunal evidence." Tribunal? Fumiko imagined many endings for her war. Death by combat, death by starvation, death by American assault. Not this. Not becoming evidence. Not surviving because enemies saved her. Not watching American doctors remove Japanese military technology from her intestines. "Teki ga watashi wo sukui. Mikata ga watashi wo kizutsuketa." Enemies saved me. Allies wounded me. Holloway approaches after surgery. Hands Fumiko a clean white gown. "Tomorrow you can shower. Real soap, hot water." Hot water. Fumiko starts crying again. She can't remember the last time she had hot water. Tokyo. December 1945. First snow of winter. Fumiko walks without coughing. 12 weeks of streptomycin treatment. Her tuberculosis is in remission. Her scars are healing. Her weight has returned. She works now. Translator for the War Crimes Tribunal. American officers speak. She converts their words into Japanese. Japanese defendants respond. She converts back. "Watashi wa ryuhu no kotoba wo hanasu, ryuhu no shinjitsu wo." I speak both languages, both truths. Today's defendant, Colonel Takeshi Moriyama. He sits behind a wooden table, handcuffs, prison uniform. The gold-rimmed glasses are gone, confiscated as personal effects. He doesn't recognize Fumiko. Why would he? She was one of dozens, hundreds, just a nurse selected for vitamin injections. But she recognizes him. His voice, soft, paternal, explains that the experiments were necessary. National defense, greater good. He was following orders. Everyone was following orders. Fumiko translates every word. Her voice doesn't shake. Chio testifies next. She walks to the witness stand, looks directly at Moriyama. "I held them down while you watched, while Dr. Ishida cut, while they screamed." The colonel's face stays neutral, practiced. He's heard worse accusations. "I was also a victim," he responds. "The military compelled my participation," Fumiko translates. The American judges write, "Notes. The tribunal lasts 8 weeks. Moriyama receives 15 years. Dr. Ishida receives 20. 43 other officers receive various sentences. Unit 731's leadership, the worst architects, receive immunity in exchange for their data. American military scientists want the research results. The price of scientific advancement, justice. Segiwa kanzen dewa nakata. Demo. Zero yori wa mashi. Justice wasn't complete, but better than zero. Fumiko accepts it. Imperfect justice, partial accountability, some punishment for some crimes. 17 lives saved by the TB examinations in that Okinawa intake tent. Fumiko, Reiko, Chio, 14 others who expected assault and received medicine. 94 Japanese women POWs testified at various tribunal proceedings. Their physical evidence, X-rays, metal fragments, surgical scars, corroborated thousands of pages of captured documents. Lieutenant Holloway's unit processed 847 female POWs total, 0 complaints filed, 0 assault allegations, 0 violations of Protocol 7F. Karera wa watashi tachi wo ningen to shite atsukata, teki to shite de wa naku. They treated us as humans, not enemies. After the tribunal, Fumiko finds a note in her medical file, old paper, written 4 months earlier. She recognizes the handwriting, Sergeant Thomas Bradley. The man who said, "Let me feel your breasts." The note reads, "Reminds me of my sister, same age when she died. TB, no streptomycin available then. Make sure this one survives." This one, Fumiko. She survived because a stranger thought of his sister. "Let me feel your breasts." She heard assault. It meant, "Let me save your life." Fumiko keeps the white medical gown, folded in her suitcase through every move. Tokyo, Osaka, Nagasaki. 40 years of carrying fabric that meant nothing to anyone else. In 1987, she donates it to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. The label reads, "First time an enemy saw me as human. Okinawa, June 1945. Teki ga watashi ni ningen wo oshiete kureta. An enemy taught me humanity. The examination was Protocol 7C. Lymph node palpation for tuberculosis detection. Standard Allied medical intake since 1943. Required for all POWs regardless of gender. Female staff for female patients. Directive 7F. 847 Japanese women processed through Holloway's unit. 17 TB cases caught early. Treatable, cured. 14 surgical implant cases documented. Metal extracted. Evidence preserved. 94 testimonies recorded for war crimes tribunals, 0 assaults. The propaganda said Americans were beasts. That capture meant violation, that death was preferable to surrender. The reality, streptomycin, clean gowns, hot water, questions asked instead of orders given. Watashi tachi wa uso wo oshirareta, subete ni tsuite. We were taught lies about everything. Reiko Sato, the 19-year-old who cried at intake, became a nurse. Trained by Lieutenant Holloway, worked in post-war Tokyo hospitals for 30 years. Chio Matsuda, the one who assisted surgeries, testified at 4 tribunals, then disappeared into anonymity. She couldn't forgive herself, even when everyone else did. Ayumi Nakagawa, the oldest prisoner, never spoke publicly. But she raised 3 daughters, told them the truth, made sure they knew monsters don't always wear enemy uniforms. In 2003, the Japanese-American Friendship Foundation honors Fumiko with a Reconciliation Medal. She's 80 years old, standing straight, white hair, steady hands. The ceremony includes American veterans, children of the men who processed her intake. Sergeant Thomas Bradley died in 1978. His granddaughter attends in his place. She brings a photograph, Bradley at 34, Okinawa 1945, stethoscope around his neck. Fumiko holds the photograph, touches his face through the glass. "Thank you," she says in English. No translator needed. "Shinjiru koto to shiru koto wachigao, ima watashi washita iru." Believing and knowing are different. Now I know. 6 words started this story. 6 words almost broke 19 women who believed what they were taught about American soldiers. But what came after? The gown she kept, the shadow they found, the metal they extracted, the testimony they gathered, built something propaganda couldn't destroy. Proof that in war, the hands you fear most are sometimes reaching out to save you.